most of you are here probably because of this, the development of Tamar and installation of the Tamar production platform. But since we are in the Dead Sea, I think it's worth mentioning that the petroleum industry of Israel started right here, actually a very long time ago. And there are, it's the results of a lot of hydrocarbon shows, asphalts, heavy oils, light oils found all around the Dead Sea, which were actually exported back in biblical times to Egypt. And we can find traces of these asphalts in the mummies that were mummified in ancient Egypt. So we have a long history of using oil in Israel, but the next major step, actually the really commercial step, came in a very early stage of exploration, a few years after the state of Israel was established, and this is the Cheletz field and the Cheletz discovery back in 1955, and some of you who are my age or older may still remember those pictures of happy drillers working on the Cheletz field, bringing a new era for the new state just established. So the really early success of Cheletz brought about drilling of wells throughout the country. The number is pretty much 500 more or less, as mentioned before. Many of them onshore, some of them more recently on the offshore. And also, obviously, the discovery of important hydrocarbon accumulations. And here is kind of a summary where we stand today, where I show all the fields that were discovered. In green, oil fields, in red, gas fields. And you can see the Cheletz field located in South Coastal Plain, the first one that was discovered. Then some small gas fields or near the Dead Sea. The two oil fields in the Dead Sea area, Tabur in Emunah, and then most recently the Megid field located in the central part of the country. A very important field, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. And then in early 2000 came the explosion of activity offshore with the the first gas field discovered in the offshore of Israel, right after it, Mary B. And then during the late 2008, 9, and 10, Tamar, Dalit, Leviathan, and all the rest in the northern part of the basin. So altogether, about 5 oil fields discovered, and what was there? 11 gas fields or 12 gas fields, with a total amount that has been produced already of about 20 million barrels of oil, mostly from the onshore sites and fields, and then 40 BCMs of gas that had been already produced. Besides oil and gas, all these fields and the many wells that were drilled give us a lot of information about the subsurface and kind of feed some ideas about where oil can be found. I would like to look at it in this manner, analyzing the accumulations from the point of view of petroleum systems. And this is taken from a paper published last year by myself and Dr. Eli Tenenbaum, the late Dr. Eli Tenenbaum, who was one of the most dedicated researchers of oil and gas in Israel. Unfortunately, not with us anymore. So altogether, the various groups of oils can be subdivided or classified through this concept of petroleum system, which actually, you can read the very elaborated definition over there, talks about the fact that various accumulations has distinct character in terms of the type of oil or gas that exists, the type of source rock that produced them, and the geological environments that are related to these systems. And you can see the list of these systems found offshore and onshore based on current and knowledge, and this is obviously is updated as we speak. The two gas systems of the offshore, the Yafo and the Tamar petroleum systems, Tamar is at the moment identified mostly the northern part of the basin, but it may actually extend further south, and we see some indications by a field like Shimshon, which was developed or which was discovered way in the southern part of the basin. And then there's also a petroleum system offshore, one that was identified, the YAM system, the one marked in blue there, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. And also, and Harald already mentioned that, a potential system not really yet discovered, but is speculated, what I call the deep oil that may be found in the far offshore and central part of the basin. Looking at the onshore, we see also several systems. First, the Helix system, which was expressed by the Helix field, so far found only in the southern coastal plain area. The Dead Sea or the SBR system, marked there in green in the southern part of the Dead Sea, and also as mentioned, may be found also possibly in the northern part, and I believe Yuval will talk about it later. And then I also mentioned two unconventional systems, all related to the same Macedonian source rock, the Rotem, which is a system, an oil shale system, which is actually an ex situ system. There's oil there's energy being produced from shales quarried in the Rotem area and used to generate electricity by combustion. And then there is the Adulam, the one that again was mentioned earlier, of in situ oil that need yet to be proved by testing and by pilot project and so on and so forth. So let's go and quickly run across some of the systems with some more details. And you can see seismic lines here showing the two gas systems of the offshore. The Yafo, which is the shallow system, wells are in the range of 2,000 meters into turbidite sands of Pliocene age. Source of this system, source rocks are unidentified, but generally speaking, late tertiary shales. There's about 24 BCMs already produced from this system, and we estimate that there's some recoverable potential in the range of 1 to 2 BCMs from fields that were already discovered. I'm not mentioning other fields that haven't been discovered yet, but may exist still within the basin from this system. And then the Tamar, the most significant one, is a different system found below the Messinian salt. Reservoirs are from Oligocene Miocene age, so similar character, deep marine turbidite sands that are found within this huge Syrian arc structures that you can see here of the Tamar and Dalit, and there are more structures there. Source, again, not clearly identified, but pretty much the same character, late tertiary shale. Produced gas in the range of 12 BCMs and huge potential, 800, maybe a little bit more BCMs that can be found mostly in the Leviathan and Tamar. This is the stage of development of infrastructure, and Gal was also mentioning it a little bit. As you can see, there are three producing fields, Noah and Marie, pretty much in their depletion stage, very last amounts of gas being pumped there, and then the Tamar, which is in full production since 2013, all connected to two production platforms sitting more or less in the Maribi area, about 20 kilometers from shore, and connected to the Ashdod gas terminal, the only connection yet being in operation. And then there's a quite developed infrastructure along the coast and within the country that distribute this gas into the smaller distribution systems, and then also further maybe into the industry and private market. Leviathan, the major development project of the Tamar gas system, is actually in operation and taking place, starting. And we can see the northern entry that was mentioned again, which is approved. Actually, two sites were actually approved, and there's planning going ahead to connect Leviathan to shore. And then there's also the more ambitious plans of exporting some of this gas, towards the Nile Delta with 2 pipes that will go from the Leviathan field to the Nile Delta, and maybe possibly in the future also additional pipes from Leviathan north towards Kafrisi. The Leviathan, unlike Tamar, will be probably developed through an FPSO, which will sit on the field, and all treatment of gas will be done from the ship, from the floating facility, and then will be distributed to different pipes that I show here. Let's move on to the other system which I mentioned, and here you can see a cross-section of geological cross-section from the shore to the deep basin, showing the Yam petroleum system. These are very important hydrocarbon shows, very light oil in the range 40-44 API. There are about 1,200 barrels produced on production tests. Source are Triassic and early Jurassic rocks, probably from the area below the field. You can see it on the right side. Recoverable reserves are yet unknown, as full production has not been established, and this system definitely deserves a very hard look and additional work to bring some of those important shows to production. And then, assuming oil is being produced within the basin, we know it because we see it in the wells, in Yam Yafo, and Yam 2, other wells. There may be a deep system, which again was already mentioned, of similar type, these same source rocks, probably of Jurassic and Triassic age, producing or produced oil, generated oil, which migrated towards basins, towards the basin center, within structures that are buried there, different types of structures, nevertheless showing a good promise, and we'll see if the Leviathan Deep will be drilled in the coming year or two, may support this speculated system. Moving on to the onshore, and I show here 2 fields. The Cheletz field on the left, well developed, more than 100 development wells already drilled, and significant production, about 20 million barrels till now, mostly from early Cretaceous sands, some from mid-late Jurassic carbonates. There is still some potential left in this field, which can be estimated somewhere in the range of 0.5 or 1 million barrels. Actually, a few days ago, we were told about a successful development well that was just tested, showing good flow of oil from a deeper horizon, the dolomite, Chav dolomite, which is sitting below the sands, which haven't been yet well explored. Cheletz system is proven within the area of Cheletz, and I can say that there still be a potential for this type of oil further to the north of the Cheletz area. Again, an issue that needs to be investigated and established. On the right, you see the maggot field, and this is really the most significant development of exploration onshore in the past years. Initially, it was discovered already in the mid-90s, but the first wells, Maggot 2, 3, and 4, were drilled off structure and didn't show any production. And then a few years back, in 2011, the Maggot 5 well was drilled, very successful well, drilled close to the top of the structure, and discovered oil in Triassic fractured carbonates. The source is not known for certainty, but there is some indication for it being Silurian shale. This is what the company proposed, the Givot Olam company, based on geochemical characterization. That could be quite significant because this is the first occurrence of this type of oil within Israel, and it shows definitely a very promising potential. Up till now, 2 years or 3 years of production, 0.6 million barrels were produced only from Maggot 5, flowing in a rate of starting from 800, now decreasing to about 500 barrels a day. Again, recoverable reserves are unknown since we have so little information about this field, and we cannot really establish good numbers. Although if you ask the company, they will say numbers like maybe a few million barrels within the Maggot 5 area, and then quite a lot more in other areas of the structure. This is my favorite, the Dead Sea. I started my career here working on the Dead Sea area with the Israel National Oil Company, and I still think the full potential of this basin is unlocked. As mentioned, there's a whole host of hydrocarbon shows on the basin floor and on the rim, asphalts, heavy oils, light oils, gas. Actually, gas was first produced here already back in the early 70s in the Zohar fields on the far left near the Arad. If you came down from Arad, you may have passed one of the fields. And then some small amount of oil found in places like Tzuk which flowed up till now about 0.15 million barrels, 150,000 barrels of oil, and still flowing these days. Again, oil is coming most likely from the SBR, synonym bitumen rocks, buried within the basin, producing hydrocarbons that are flowing along faults and migrating up deep towards the various structures and accumulating within Mesozoic sandstone and carbonate. My colleague, the late Elin Tenbaum, estimated the generation potential of this basin in the range of 1 to 2 billion barrels. So there's very significant potential here which haven't been really discovered yet. So here where we stand, and I haven't mentioned or haven't touched at all the unconventionals. As already noted, this is a whole new era of unconventional resources that may have potential here. We have various sections of organic rich shales and limestones within the Mesozoic section, Senonian and deeper, that may hold potential for unconventional type of development by fracturing, by horizontal drilling, and so on and so forth. So to summarize, I share a Harold view. There's a bright future here for petroleum industry of Israel, and we've been working for more than 60 years. Oil is being found and produced, and yet many petroleum systems were not sufficiently well explored and needs to be explored further. As we can see, huge benefits, huge economic benefits to the country from offshore gas and maybe in the future from onshore gas and oil. What we need desperately is really expertise, advanced technologies, and maybe the most important of all approaches to those petroleum systems, the way to develop, the way to discover and develop these resources in Israel. And hopefully if we do all that, we'll have Israel being not only the land of milk and honey, but also of oil and gas. And thank you very much.